this Activate project that'll be out next year. So be on the lookout for that. And when it comes out, we would love for you to subscribe and to go through that curriculum. And it's not just going to be videos. We're going to have an entire kit that we mail you once you sign up, along with an online portal where you can go through the various questions, track your progress, and keep up with the training. And then once you graduate from Activate, we're going to invite you to Tupelo, Mississippi, to our national headquarters and have a graduation ceremony. You'll get to meet the professors, get to meet our staff here, and hopefully maybe some of you can be on the air and we can tell your story about the Activate project. Hey, our border is almost non-existent, especially on the southern side of our country. This is not a new problem. This goes back to the Clinton days and before. Really goes back for decades. And the problem is that we have almost a non-existent border. If you ask people, where is the border between the United States and Mexico? They go, oh, right down there. Look at Texas, and look just south of Texas. And you see that river there, that Rio Grande? That's the border. And you go over to Arizona and do the same thing. Hey, look down here. Here's the border. But from a practical standpoint, we don't really have a border. Because there's no enforcement of the border, and when you don't enforce a border, it almost might as well not exist. I mean, you can all say, well, here it is. But if you're not enforcing a border and making people migrate legally, right, through the ports of entry, then you may as well not have a border. I really don't know what we're doing down there. Why are we wasting resources down there? And we've turned our Border Patrol agents basically into a bunch of bus drivers and babysitters. And that's not to insult them. That's not to their fault, but that's to the fault of our leadership. I mean, you got Border Patrol agents that signed up. They raised their hand to say, I want to protect the homeland. I want to enforce our border laws. I want to enforce our immigration laws. And they said, all right, that sounds good. Suit up, and you're driving the van today. And you're gonna intercept illegal immigrants on the border. And we're not gonna apprehend, we're not gonna cuff, we're not gonna send them back, to their host country. We're just going to load them in the air-conditioned bus, and we're going to drive them down here. We're going to feed them. We're going to clothe them. We're going to process them, and then we're going to release them into our country. It sounds like a human smuggling operation. It is. It's a human smuggling operation under the guise of being a legitimate government function. That's what we're doing. We're intercepting them. We're feeding them. We're clothing them. We're giving them a phone, and in some cases, the Biden administration is wanting to give them a new quote-unquote government ID, and we're releasing them into the homeland. What kind of job is that? It's like telling our local police, if you see a crime going on, you go talk to that person. You don't handcuff them, right? Because that's mean. You put them in the back of the cruiser, make sure you got the air conditioner on, give them a bottle of water, take them over to the precinct.
今日はどうだった？
ああ、白髪の先生。
ああ、挨拶した。
うん。
初めからずっといたの。
いたよ。
スチーム入った？
うん。
でシャンプーも浴びた？
補助してる。補助。
どこ？スチーム。
スチーム。補助。
シャワー浴びた？
うん。シャワーだけ。
どれくらい待った？
30分ぐらい。
ああ。早かったね、でも、そうしたら。12時半に終わって。
Statue of Liberty was set up for legal immigrants. These were people who immigrated over here legally, went through the right process, and then gained citizenship. So no. We're not invoking the Statue of Liberty when we're talking about this insanity at our southern border. And that's exactly what it is. Furthermore, no, we're not giving jobs to the criminals. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. We're not rewarding their bad behavior. No, we ought to be sending them back. And this is like, some call it the Potomac fever in Washington. I don't know. I think this is pure spiritual. This has to be in the spiritual realm. But because you cannot sit down with people and talk about this and go, so you think when people trespass into our nation, we should give them jobs? And they go, yeah, that's good. So you don't think that's going to incentivize more bad people from coming over here? Oh, but these people aren't bad. Well, how on earth do you know that? Well, how do you know they're bad? Because they broke our laws. See where this goes? It's like not complicated. You could probably sit down with a 7-year-old and go, hey, 7-year-old, do you think it's good or bad for someone to trespass onto your property? They go, well, that's not good. I mean, this is my family's property. You're not supposed to trespass. I mean, we can invite you over here, but you shouldn't just come. You don't just walk in somebody's house. And then when they say something, you go, oh, you bigot. You're against having friends over. Well, no, you're not my friend because I don't even know your name. This is what's happening to our country. And we're facilitating it via the Department of Homeland Security. They are the mass facilitators of this. I mean, I just don't know. You have to get seared. Your mind has to be seared. Your conscience has to be seared to be a federal agent. And you're good with busing the criminals into our nation and dumping them on our streets. And these are supposed to be the good guys. And maybe they are. I mean, on its surface, they're doing something noble. They're working for our nation to protect our borders and our citizenry. On the surface, serving in law enforcement and protecting the good guys is a good thing. It's a biblical thing. That's what government's there for. But when you flip it on its head and you say, instead of doing the good thing, we're going to do the bad thing. And we're gonna gather up all the criminals. We're gonna put them on a bus. We're gonna bus them in a couple 100 miles inland, and then we're gonna dump them on our streets. And we're gonna call that the right thing to do. I don't know what has to happen because Democrats keep voting for this garbage. And don't blame it on me, because there's some things around here we can say, well, we're all responsible. You want to talk about the decline of morality and the family? Okay, we can probably share that across party lines. And we'll talk about that in the last segment. But on this issue, no. No, this is not bipartisan. Okay, some Republicans are responsible. But I can tell you this much. On the voter front, this issue is not, there's no confusion on this. And so the Democrats keep voting for this. All right, the Democrats keep voting for this, including the Democrat voters out there. And at what point is enough? And this is just like our debt. You ask people, what's enough immigrants? Like, at what point are we going to feel virtuous that we've let all these people in? At what point are we going to feel satisfied? Okay, that's good. We've let 50 million in. We're good now. And if it's anything like our national debt, they won't have an answer. Well, it's the right thing to do. We just got to keep doing it. No, this is not the right thing to do. I'll tell you what the right thing to do is. And a lot of times people complain about stuff and they themselves don't have an answer. But I got an answer for you. We'll keep it simple. So, back in the day when we were serious about our border enforcement, people, they just didn't come illegally. If you want to come to the port of entry, if you want to apply for citizenship, if you want to apply for a visa, If you want to apply for a work permit, you can go to your nearby U.S. Embassy, and we have one in every country. Yes, we do. You can go to your nearby U.S. Embassy, and you can fill out the paperwork. And you can wait, right? Because that's part of life, is waiting. And then eventually, hopefully, we'll let you in. And we'll let you in with open arms. And here's how we'll do this. You'll be legal in some form or fashion. You'll be legally entering our nation. You can jump on an airline, fly right into one of our international hubs, go through Border Patrol, our border protection, go through the port there, show them your legal status, boom, you're in America, get a job, start a life, start a family, live the American dream. And by the way, we're still doing that for $1 million a year, right? We're one of the most generous nations on our legal immigration process. We let in, our nation allows in over 1 million legal immigrants every year. And so that's the right thing to do. That's the right process if you want in our nation. But instead, we're going about it the wrong way. And here's the thing. You know, the media and the Democrats, they try to say, oh, those conservatives, they just don't want any immigrants. They just want a bunch of white people in our country. Well, no, that's not true. And shame on you for trying to accuse us of that. What we want is a fair, and they talk about equity. True equity, what we want is a true, fair, and equitable system. And what does that look like? Well, that looks like if you follow the rules, we pat you on the back and give you a high five and we let you in the country. But if you don't follow the rules, you don't get in. If you happen to sneak in, you get sent right back. That's how you do it. And these are basic principles of human decency that are rooted in Scripture. And that's why if you were to go to a school and you were to see, I don't know, let's say some third graders, and one of the little third grade boys decided he was going to cut line at lunch. I'm going to cut line. I'm hungry. And he goes and cuts line and cuts 20 of his classmates. You know what the teacher's going to do, at least if he or she is of right mind? They're going to say, no, Joe. You're not cutting line. You're going back to the back of the line where you were, because it's not right, it's not fair, it's not just for you to cut line and make everybody else wait because you don't want to follow the rules. These kind of principles and acts, we do this all day, every day, right, as humans. We immediately look at circumstances and go, that's right, that's good, that's fair. Or we look and we go, that's bad, that's unjust. I don't like that. That's not right. That's not good. And so we need national leaders at the federal government level that can look at what's going on our border and go, that's not right, that's not good, that's unjust. And we're going to remedy it. We're going to remedy it. And we're going to go about things with a bit of dignity. At the core, we'll be back in a few minutes.
Are you able to stand steadfast in this post-Christian world? Join Frank Turek, Gary Habermas, Hugh Ross, Richard Howe, and more than 40 other speakers for Southern Evangelical Seminary's 29th Annual Steadfast National Conference. No matter where you are on your faith journey, you will leave this event better equipped to penetrate the culture with the gospel and defend the truthfulness of Christianity. It all happens October 13th and 14th at First Baptist Church in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Register now at ses.edu/national conference.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jessica Peck, host of the Dr. Nurse Mama radio show, beginning daily October 16th on AFR. I'll serve as your expert guide to engage, equip, encourage, and empower you to navigate life's toughest issues with your family. The show begins October 16th, and I can hardly wait to prescribe hope for healthy families. I'll see you there.
Preborn celebrates that Roe v. Wade has been overturned. Roe has been responsible for the slaughter of over 63 million babies. Now the decision to abort a child will be left in the hands of the states, and sadly, abortions will continue in the most liberal states. Over the past 16 years, Preborn has positioned their clinics in the top abortion cities where 50% of abortions occur. Preborn's work of saving babies' lives continues at an even greater level as they save babies' lives and defend their centers from the radical hate groups who want to shut them down. Preborn's response is dependent on you, the pro-life community. Be a part of rescuing lives and changing hearts for Christ. $28 sponsors one ultrasound, and $140 will help to rescue 5 babies' lives. Dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby, or go to preborn.com. All gifts are tax deductible.
One growing trend in our society is an entire industry developed around emergency preparedness. Ads warn viewers to stockpile food and prepare a plan for a time of future disaster. Now, while physical preparation is wise, it is temporary. Spiritual preparation, though, is essential because it is eternal. Hello, I'm Sam Rohr with another Stand in the Gap Minute. This week, we've looked at what Jesus said about future wars, rumors of wars, and other end times warnings. Jesus told us not to be alarmed, that these conflicts must take place, and that these wars are not the end. Now, in Matthew 24:45, Jesus used a parable to highlight our response. He asked, "Who then is the faithful and wise servant?" Our response to conflict is not fear, it's faithfulness. We must serve and not swerve. We must stand in faith, not fall in fear. Observing Christ's warning should drive us to clarity and holiness, not confusion and paralysis.
At the Core podcast are available at AFR.net. Now, back to At the Core on American Family Radio.
Welcome back to the Core here on American Family Radio. Hey, for those who don't know, my brother and I go with my dad, Tim, on a couple of tours each year. And one of them is to old colonial America, Old Town, Williamsburg, Jamestown, Yorktown, over in Virginia. We go there for a couple of days, and we also go to Washington, D.C., and Stephen McDowell joins us. We teach you on America's history, America's true history, the spiritual heritage that we have in this country. And so that's in June and September each year. You can go to spiritualheritagetours.com, spiritualheritagetours.com, or you can just type in your search bar Spiritual Heritage Tours, and that'll be the first link that pops up. But on that note, I went this September. I went to Williamstown, Jamestown, Yorktown, and just God's hand on our nation is mind-blowing. I mean, it's just amazing to see how God acted upon, how God providentially set up this nation. And up until probably the last decade or so, there hasn't been any debate amongst America's leadership, amongst America's electorate, about whether America is a Christian nation. I mean, it was only like Obama and a few others that began to raise doubt in people's mind about whether America is a Christian nation. And then you've got the secularists, the God haters, the pagans who want to come in and try to erase America's history. But up until the last decade or two, there's really been no squabble about this, even amongst the pagans. I mean, the handwriting's on the wall, quite literally, that America is a Christian nation. So all of a sudden, we've got this epiphany that America's not a Christian nation. Boy, are we wrong. Listen to George Washington, 1796. And I want to talk a little bit in this segment about some of the fundamental things that really hold America together. George Washington said in his farewell address, 1796, this is after the Revolutionary War, he said, of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports. He didn't say they're good. He didn't say it's great if you can do this. He didn't say it's, preference. He said religion and morality are indispensable supports. And this is in a period where the overwhelming majority, 90+% of the populace was of the Christian faith. Different denominations, different sects, but of the Christian faith. On further, a couple sentences down in this farewell address, he said, this is George Washington, "Let it simply be asked, where is the security for property, for reputation, for life, if the sense of religious obligation desert the oaths which are the instruments of investigation in the courts of justice?" So how are we going to have security for our property, for our nation? We just talked about that in the last segment. For people's reputations in public and for their life. How are we going to have this security if we don't have religion? If we don't have a religious obligation to these? Fascinating. In 1968, historian Will Durant said, "There is no significant example in history before our time of a society successfully maintaining moral life without the aid of religion." And let me just say this is a quote from me, but morality and religion are inseparable. They are the same. They are of one. People say, you go to college now, you take an ethics class, and you say, ask the professor, where do ethics come from? And they'll give you about 20 different answers. Oh, well, remember this writer back in the 1500s?